I'm Michael Stinziano, the Franklin County Auditor. So, I'm a kid from Columbus, born and raised from Mount Carmel West. My parents lived up in the Hilltop, then moved to the university area, and I was really fortunate. I grew up with Ohio State truly as my backyard in a community that was changing and evolving. Got to do all the things a kid growing up in Central Ohio gets to do, which meant when I was 18, my goal was somewhat leave Ohio, go see warmer weather, wanted to wear jeans and t-shirts, so went south to the University of Richmond. Was a Spider for a few years, then moved over to Washington, D.C. After Washington, D.C., came back, got a law degree at Ohio State. Was fortunate to become the director of the Board of Elections in Franklin County. Good quirk to Ohio law, you can't both run for office and run the elections, so in February of 2010, resigned from that and ran for the Ohio General Assembly. Was fortunate to serve in the General Assembly for 5 years, and then moved over, served on Columbus City Council for 3 years, and now I've been the Franklin County Auditor for just under 100 days. Proud father of a 5- and 4-year-old and 2 rescue pugs, Fenway and Wrigley. So I was fortunate. I grew up with a house committed to public service. My mom worked for the state and so did my father. My father's position was a little unique. He was a state rep when I was born. And so before Facebook, before Twitter, before email, Dad was out representing the community. He gave out our home phone number. And so when Mom and Dad weren't home, I would personally answer those constituent calls. And so I was really fortunate to get to tag along with Dad, go to community events, see his commitment to wanting to help solve problems. And then, again, was one of the people that would take those messages. And so I was able at an early age to hear questions, concerns, and the impact an elected official, public servant can have in doing what's right and helping change people's lives. So having grown up in a political household, I wanted nothing to do with it. Kind of saw the ebb and flow, the impact it had on family, and so really tried to stay away. But I was really driven by that policy component, those calls, and wanting to be able to help make a difference in my community and in individuals' lives. But I had an opportunity when I was at the University of Richmond to go abroad. I did an internship for the British House of Commons. I thought I was signing up for some easy credit, drink tea during the day and just do some policy work, but Tony Blair, who's the Prime Minister at the time, dissolved Parliament, and I found myself working on their national election. So right place, right time to get back and kind of that lens for how elections work. Parliamentary elections in England are a little different. My candidate literally would put out a soapbox, stand on it, and tell people this is my platform, or we'd go meet families picking up their kids in the schoolyard. And so I really was kind of struck by that ability. It's a weird job interview, but having that be the foray into making that impact for your community. So the big challenge, and talk to Dad about it all the time, is just the divisiveness that we have now. Back in the day, before there were term limits at the State House, before the partisanship rancor really was at the level it was at, people would get together, sit in the room. Yes, they would not always agree, but they would fight it out and then go back and get to know each other better, not only in the policy, but their families as well. I had an opportunity to do a little bit of that, was always committed, always wanted to pick up the phone, talk to a colleague, meet a colleague in their district, but that seems to be the biggest difference. It really is partisan. It really, unfortunately, seems more motivated by the next election, not as much as what's the long-term policy solution that's going to better our community. So the Franklin County Auditors are a really exciting opportunity. It is a job a lot of people don't know about, but impacts our lives day in and day out. The 4 primary functions are assessing the property values, issuing the dog licenses. We also do the weights and measures, so it's well known for the stickers on the gas stations, but it helps make sure consumers are assured and not being cheated of their dollars. And we also are the statutory secretary for the Franklin County Data Center. And so within those 4 pillars, we touch almost an aspect of people's lives every day. So it's really exciting. And now we're really committed into bringing the office into the 21st century. The functions are the functions. Now how can we better make it resident oriented, business oriented, making sure that the people that use our website or go to the gas station understand what it is our office's role is to make sure that they're paying the value they want, or if we can help address any questions or concerns that they have. So having been in office just 100 days, the focus has really been where can we move as an organization, as a county office forward. So I was excited to recently announce our paid maternity leave program, also parental leave. I value and think it's the right thing to do, that parents and families need to be together. They give a lot of time as public servants and their position at the county, this is a way to make sure that it's being covered. So it hasn't been quite 100 days, but we've been very active in moving the office forward. And one of our initiatives that we just announced was our parental and caregiver leave policy. It's going to be a 6-week policy. We want to be leading by example, not only for the county, but for the rest of Central Ohio. And so excited by the announcement. Personally feel it's the right thing to do. I valued how much time I was able to spend as a new parent. And I know down the road, I'm going to need to spend some time with my family as we have to deal with aging in place issues. And so really excited about the ability to announce this policy, have it impact our over 100 employees in the auditor's office, and then work with other local governments, other office holders as well if they have an interest in following that lead. We're also looking to modernize the office. We inherited a system where one of our forms, people told us they needed a typewriter to fill out. That didn't make sense for me, given that we're in 2019. And so we moved it to a fillable PDF form. Didn't change anything about the form, but the way in which it's presented and people are able to engage our office. So throw away those typewriters, excited that we're modernizing and really taking that lens to everything we do. Also very committed and passionate about finding solutions so our older residents can age in place. We've heard loud and clear that it's amazing that Columbus is growing, that we are seeing so many people move here, but we don't have as much housing as we need. And so particularly older residents are finding in their established neighborhoods that their property values are rising, which means their property taxes are going up. They're on a fixed income. And so how do we both educate our older residents so that they are aware that it could occur, but also make sure they don't feel they're going to have to be displaced because of affordability issues. And so finding strategic partners, I was very fortunate when I worked at the city to help lead the Age-Friendly Columbus initiative. So continuing to partner with colleagues at the city, but also AARP, the Columbus Urban League on some of the programs that they do as well, so we can highlight and make sure we're addressing this problem. So the importance of having and being able to serve as the auditor is having such an impact across our region. A lot of people question when I went from the state to the city. Well, the city was all at large, so we went from representing about 116,000 residents at the state to now, at that time, representing 850,000 residents in the city. Now I get to represent 1.4 million residents. And my door is always open. My cell phone, 614-219-9224. I want residents to engage me directly. I hold weekly community hours at a coffee shop, at a library in their community. I know coming to the county government building isn't the most accessible, so I'm very committed to making sure we have that office out in the community. We have a great community engagement team. We want to be known for our visibility and our presence at as many functions as we can. That makes sense for that property values, for the dog licensing, but not wanting people just to feel, oh, we only see the auditor's office every 4 years when on the election, but that they see our presence almost every day. My community hour meetings are fantastic. The best ones are when you've got diverse groups of people sitting around the table and I can just sit back and they talk about the issues they're having and maybe they had a creative solution or that they realize we've got similar issues, maybe we can get together and find a creative way. I've always found that it is a great way for people to be comfortable in their own neighborhood or in a space that isn't as maybe intimidating as a government building, definitely not as many elevators. And so it's just been immense value. And then my ability to learn here and go back to the office and advocate for what those issues are that are raised, or if it's reaching out and helping connect them with other governments or elected officials. I've always appreciated that. I mean, I give out that cell phone number. People don't call it enough. They do engage at the community hours and really highlight this is what's going on. And I encourage anyone to take the time to get to know who their elected officials are. We want to be working with you. We want you to hold us accountable. And so providing that forum or another forum, even if you don't have an agenda, just get to know each other better makes a huge difference. So as things do come up, you know who to call, or you can call someone that may be able to connect you. The problem can be solved. So when I was at the city of Columbus, we had a father reach out. He was very frustrated that he was at a business and they didn't have a baby changing station. He had his young daughter with him and he didn't love that he had to change her on the bathroom floor. And so we worked with a Ohio company that did baby changing stations and did a grant program where we worked with small businesses to install those features. It didn't matter if it was male or female bathroom, but to provide that accessibility. So those parents are out not feeling like this restaurant or this business isn't going to understand what my needs are as well. So we were really proud of that accomplishment. Another success story as a new father, some communities were able to have better car seat installation programs. City of Columbus has a great program, but we had too long of a wait list. And so working with the Columbus Department of Health on what can we do to eliminate that wait list, provide more car seats, and make sure families have the resources they need. A small piece of kind of addressing our infant mortality, but recognizing that as families continue to evolve, we want them investing in our community. Having things like that be as competitive as other cities, communities was important to me. So a number of role models growing up. I was really fortunate, and the one that really stuck out when I came back after undergrad, had an opportunity to spend the summer working for the John Glenn Policy Institute, before it was the Glenn College at Ohio State, and just seeing how humble John and Annie Glenn are. Amazing U.S. heroes, but just watching them both in the relationship and how they carried themselves with each other, but then just their willingness and time they would take to meet with residents and talk to them. Always appreciated that, and always kind of wanted to hold myself to that standard. Having a role model, I think, helps learn lessons, be able to ask questions, and really get to understand who you are. I was also fortunate, I did a lot of externships. I joke, I hustled, tried to put myself in positions and in spaces that wasn't just my normal scene. That gave me an element of understanding better who I was, what my passions were. And so role models help flesh that out. I think having those connectors or people that you can talk to or look to for advice, because we're all figuring it out, and you don't realize that the role model did that at one time too. And so being able to learn and understand how they were able to have their success, or what it is about them that you admire, how they were able to establish that. It's not normally born, it's something that's developed. So my advice for the 16-year-old is kind of all works out. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I mentioned it's kind of my path. Uniquely, when I was 16 though, my parents moved to Chicago. I moved with them, was not a happy 16-year-old, and actually got emancipated and finished high school in Columbus while mom and dad stayed in Illinois. But it helped set that path. It made me very comfortable when I got to be more independent at an early age. Between going to schools and transferring and kind of following that passion, it really all works out. And putting yourself in a position for that success, you don't know when that door is going to open or someone's going to come knocking, but that's the part that I try and let people know that, there is a plan. It happens and works itself out, so you don't need to stress. It may take some time, may take some creativity, but you'll be able to accomplish it. The future of Columbus is great. A lot of growth, I think, or I know we have community leaders really committed on not only problems of the future, but what we see going on right now, addressing affordable housing, addressing inequalities across the board. It's exciting to be in a city that you can get and accomplish pretty much anything you need to, or you can call the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and they'll take the time to meet with you. That's special to our city, and that's something that I continue to expect as we grow to continue, but that growth will bring in more creativity, more idea folks. Because of the public service position, I used to serve on a number of boards, but now from the city side, my value is more being help get grants to those organizations. So don't do as much since Auditor, we're still trying to figure out whether there's conflicts or not. My involvement with Charities has really evolved. With public service, you have to worry about conflicts. And so now I'm engaging with those charities pretty much every day, working to advocate on their behalf. My biggest frustration is just the siloing. You have wonderful office holders, but we find ourselves often siloed. We know we're very successful when we're all working together. And so kind of knocking down those silos for the businesses and residents in the county remains a priority. I always go back also to that age-friendly work that I did at the city, that age in everything. As we continue to welcome all these new residents, we need to make sure our older residents are comfortable aging in place and have the resources we need. One mentor, I actually interned when I was in law school. She's now my chief of staff in the auditor's office. And so those mentors help develop my growth, because your family's always going to have your back, but those mentors bring a different perspective that I've always found invaluable. So the best place to get more information about the auditor's office is go to the auditor's website, www.franklincountyauditor.com, but you can always email me directly at mstinziano@franklincounty.gov, or my cell phone, 614-219-9224. You can reach out on Twitter or Facebook. Always happy, whatever format and forum that residents are comfortable with, to reach me directly. We are working very hard to make sure our office is out in the community, and so that's another great way to learn more about the office. Or come to my community hours at a library or coffee shop, an opportunity just to get to know each other better, or for me to talk more about what we do in the Franklin County Auditor's Office.